3.13 notes, writing equations and converting to standard form. So we're going to focus on how do we write an equation from a graph. Also, how do we change an equation when it's in intercept form, vector form, and change it to standard form. First example, let's get it written down, pause as needed. We have the equation y equals -2 times x plus 3 times x minus 4. First thing we want to do is we want to distribute this -2 here. We can do that first. That's usually pretty simple. You don't have to by rule. You can multiply x plus 3 times x minus 4 using the box that we cover and then distribute the -2. So it doesn't really matter. I tend to prefer to do this first. If we distribute that -2, we're going to get -2x minus 6, and we still have to multiply this binomial times x minus 4. And we can do that using the box method, which is the area model. When we do that, -2x times x is -2x squared. -2x times -4 is 8x. -6 times x is -6x. And -6 times -4 is 24. And remember, we can combine these like terms. So our final quadratic equation in standard form is going to be y equals -2x squared. If we combine these, that's positive 2x and then plus 24. And that's how you change it from intercept form to standard form. It's just basic, simple multiplication. Let's try another example. Pause, write and write down. Let's go ahead and distribute. We have y equals 2 times x plus 3 times x minus 1. We're going to distribute that a value first. And that's going to give us 2 times x is 2x, 2 times 3 is 6. Now we have two binomials, 2x plus 6 times x minus 1. We're going to multiply that using our area model. 2x times x is 2x squared. We have 6 times x here, 6x. We have -1 times 2x here, -2x, and -1 times 6 is -6. We can combine those like terms right here. That's going to give us 4x. So our final equation in standard form is y equals 2x squared plus 4x and the minus 6. Let's go ahead and take a look at a graph here, and we're going to write the equation from this graph, and we're going to use the intercepts to do that. So you can see we have this graph here of a quadratic. It's a parabola, and we have some key points. A couple key points. We can see that the x-intercepts are -1 and +2. Because we can clearly define the intercepts, we can use intercept form to write the equation. Whereas before we were using vertex form. So you can clearly see right here, the vertex is right here, but we can't clearly see. If you zoom in, you can't really clearly see what the vertex is. It's not at an exact point location. It makes it tough for us to really figure out what it is. We can estimate, but we don't want to estimate. We want to be exact. So we're going to use intercept form, which is y equals a times x minus p and x minus q, where p and q are our intercepts. So we can call p -1 and q 2, and it doesn't matter if you flip those around. So we're going to go ahead and, those are our two intercepts. We're going to go ahead and plug those in for p and q. So -1 for p and 2 for q. You can see when we plug in the -1 for p, that creates minus -1, which actually makes it +1. So we want to change that. So now we have y equals a times x plus 1 times x minus 2. We need to figure out what our a value is. So we're going to go find an xy point and plug that in. So we have an xy point of 0, -1. So we can plug in 0 for x here, and we can plug in -1 for y. And now that's going to help us solve for a. So when we do that, we create a easy little baby equation that we can solve. 0 plus 1, as you can see, is 1 right here. 0 minus 2 is -2 right here. We still have our a value, and all of that is still equal to -1. -2 times 1 is -2 times a is -2a. So we have -1 equals -2a, and we want to divide by -2 on both sides to solve for our a value, which is +1/2. Now we can write our equation. We know that the equation is y equals we have our a value, 1/2 times x plus 1 times x minus 2. This part right here that we had already done. And that is the equation of the graph. We just plug in the intercepts, plug in an xy point, solve for a, and then write the equation right here. We already did this a little bit with vertex form, so you should have some familiarity with that. We're doing the same kind of idea, just with intercept form instead of vertex form. Our last example here, let's go ahead and do the same exact thing. We're going to write the equation of this graph here. Because we can clearly define the x-intercepts, we want to use intercept form and just plug those in for the intercepts. Could we use vertex form? We could, because we can clearly define the vertex down here as well. But for this practice, we're going to use intercept form. So we're going to start with y equals a times x minus p times x minus q, where p and q are our x-intercepts. So -3 is going to be our p, 1 is going to be our q. So when we plug those in, we get -3 for p and 1 for q. So after we plug that in, you can see we have minus -3 here. And that's going to create a +3 situation. We'll change that in a second. We need to find our a value, so we're going to plug in this other known point. You can see right here is at -2, -6. We're going to plug that in for x and y. Why are we going to do that? Because we need to solve for our a value. So -2 goes in for x, -6 goes in for y. And now we're just going to solve this simple equation here for a, so we can figure out what that a value is so that we can write our equation. -2 plus 3 is 1, and -2 minus 1 is -3. We're going to multiply these. -3 times 1 is -3, times a is -3a. And then we want to divide by -3 on both sides. And that's going to give us an a value of +2. Now we can write our equation. We're basically just going to take it and plug it right back into here. So we're going to have y equals 2, that's our a value, times x plus 3, remember we fixed it from here, times x minus 1. And again, this is more practice, writing equations from a graph using intercept form because we can clearly define the x-intercepts. Lastly, for your summary, write a paragraph. So the intercept form quadratic below needs to be converted to standard form, right here. In a paragraph, use words to explain to your brother exactly how this needs to be done. If you don't have a brother, pretend like you have a brother. So you are explaining exactly how you would change this intercept form equation into standard form using words in a paragraph.